Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
All right, folks, I am Casey, the remix schedule, flying solo tonight on Time Sports Talk. Got the recording here live on TikTok, first time, so feel free to, I don't even really know how to work that part, but hey, the old man, the Eddie, the original, they got to get ready for a Christmas party. They're doing a lot of stuff. So it's just me and my pup. He's trying to get me to throw his bone, going crazy. So still got a lot to talk about. Probably won't be the full hour. I don't know if anyone wants to hear me talk for an hour straight. Holy crap. I don't even want to do that. But still a packed show. NFL Week 15 reactions, NBA storylines in the books or in the mix, college football brackets, college football reactions. You got the Heisman happening, Army Navy game. Go Navy. All right. Y'all took care of your business. I'm super excited about that. And then, of course, got Cowboys, a little bit of Mavs talk. So let's get into it. No joke of the day today because it doesn't work with one person feeling that one. So, so NFL Week 15, the first thing is if you watch On Time Sports Talk on YouTube, is me and my dad had this debate when it comes to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the MVP of the league. He doesn't want to admit it. He's saying he come up with all type of excuses and all that stuff about Josh Allen. He is the MVP after 6 touchdowns a few weeks ago, winning in the shootout that was last week. Incredible performance. Josh Allen, I think, he's not Mahomes. He's not Mahomes, but he is. If you're starting a franchise right now, I think he's the second guy you would take over Lamar Jackson, over Herbert, over Burrow. He's just been incredible. So the performance for the Bills in that game last week was amazing. Another reaction, I couldn't believe Tampa Bay. I know that's my pops is a dark horse guy, or not guy, but team. And ultimately, they put it on them last week. The Buccaneers ultimately, holy crap, I should have had this pulled up. I apologize. 40-17 over the Chargers. And I really love the Chargers. They're kind of my AFC squad. 40-17 against what's supposed to be a really good defense in Los Angeles. The Bucks coming into Dallas this upcoming weekend. Little scared about that, and I'll kind of give my picks towards the end of the show for that. The other Week 15, my dad, his other NFC team, is the Vikings. If he was on there, he'd be blowing his little horn. And, Sam Darnold, what a turnaround for him in his season. That was an incredible season. It's been an incredible season for him. And they just keep rolling. I don't know you can't knock them. They've done an amazing job with that. So those were my real takeaways from last week in the NFL. Cardinals had a good performance, putting up 30 against the Patriots, but that's not saying much. One of my picks, I did pick Seattle to beat Green Bay in Seattle, home of the 12th man. Seattle's been a good team this year, but the Packers put it on them. So the Green Bay seems to be starting to figure some things out there. Yeah. All right. Enough of NFL Week 15. Just admit Josh Allen's the MVP. Sorry, Saquon. Sorry, Mahomes. Sorry, everyone else. Josh Allen's the MVP. Get over it. I'm not even a Bills fan. I'm not Bills Mafia. I'm a Dallas person, as you can tell. Merry Christmas to all those out there, all those joining the live. So if you did join, I'm recording 2 spots. So that's why I'm not typing over here. Let's talk college football. College football is obviously the bracket. Pup is whining over here because he wants me to pay attention to him. Let's talk about my picks here. First off, I love the new college football playoff. I think it's going to end up getting 16 teams. I really eventually think it's going to get 16 sooner rather than later. Hashtag money, right? Hashtag money. But college football, you got Ohio State, the Ohio State. All right, I have to say it like that. I was stationed in Columbus for 5 years. I got a lot of Buckeyes, people I know who are fans of the show and watch and stuff. So the Ohio State. So versus Tennessee, the Volunteers had an incredible season to this point. I'm going Ohio State. I'm going Buckeyes to meet Oregon. So kind of a Big Ten rematch there. Then you got Texas, Clemson. I don't think Clemson, they've played better lately, but Texas is, I think, on a different level. Texas, Arizona State, they're going to see them. Notre Dame versus Indiana. Indiana has played one team, and they got smashed by Ohio State. I'm not a believer in Indiana. I think they're a product of the transfer portal and those type of things. Eventually, I'm going to end up talking about the NIL and the transfer portal here in a little bit and my thoughts on what is wrong with it and what can be done. But Notre Dame, I think they run over Indiana. And then Penn State, SMU, I'm picking the upset. I'm going Texas. I'm going SMU. First year playing in a big boy conference, and they're going to see Boise State in the second round. Out of that, Oregon, OSU, I think Oregon beats Ohio State. Texas, I believe, is going to beat Arizona State. And then I got Notre Dame beating Georgia. I just don't think Beck is playing very well. I'm not a believer when your quarterback isn't playing at a high level, and it's not like they have a barn burner. This isn't Alabama a few years ago when they bring in Tua for Hurts. The backup is not all that. So I think Notre Dame gets by Georgia, and Georgia's air of dominance is starting to wane a little bit. And I do have Boise beating SMU, though. And then I got Notre Dame beating Boise, going to the championship game versus Oregon. I have Texas losing to Oregon. So should be exciting, though, starting, I believe, tomorrow night, this weekend, the playoff happening. Pretty excited about watching all that. But there was a award weekend this past weekend, the Heisman. Travis Hunter, a lot of debate between him and Genty. It was kind of either you were over here or you were over here. There wasn't much in between. I think a guy who plays at a high level like Travis Hunter does ultimately deserves, I think he earned it. It wasn't given away. It wasn't a so-called just, popular vote. He was rated pretty damn high as a corner, as well as a receiver. He made a massive impact as a receiver. So this wasn't like Deion Sanders, his coach, like playing with the Cowboys, sometimes on offense, just get an explosive play here. No, he's playing almost every damn play. So it's pretty impressive. What's not impressive is his girlfriend. He had to hop on TikTok and Instagram and all these other places to start defending, sitting on the couch like, you expect me to sit here all day? I don't know if she's about that life. I know they've been together for a while. I'm not trying to get in your business, Travis. I know you've already got on here kind of blasting people for criticizing her. Like, I think the worst part of that was you were saying she's been crying and drinking all day trying to cope. Not a good way to cope with criticism there. But, hopefully they've got it figured out and they're doing all that. But I don't know if she's about that life. Your man's going to be a superstar, whether he's playing receiver or corner. I think he'll play corner in the NFL. But well-deserved Heisman. I would have voted for Genty personally, but I think, Travis Hunter, he earned it, and I didn't have much of an issue with that. What I do have an issue with is NIL and transfer, mainly right now the transfer portal, but NIL is a part of that. Almost 2,000 football players have entered the transfer portal this year. Matter of fact, there's a team that, it's escaping me. There's a team that had to back out of a bowl game because they had so many players enter the transfer portal. Here's my take on it. You see a lot of old heads getting in it saying this is an issue, and it is an issue. When you can just leave year after year after, and there's no rule, you're not teaching young men how to deal with adversity in something they love to do and play football. And that's an issue. I really think it is. And it translates to careers beyond, especially, most college football players, 90+% of them aren't going to play in the NFL. You got to deal with some adversity in life and stick it out and, ultimately learn to get a little grit and face life with a certain level of resolve. And being able to develop this pattern, and this goes well beyond get get below college, kids jumping AAU teams and 7-on-7 teams, and kids moving all the time in high school now to try to pair up with people to make all-star basketball teams and those type of things, you know. I mean, hashtag Duncanville in Texas, you know, places like that where, you know, they finally are starting to get caught for recruiting kids that come there. So I think it goes deeper than just college, but I think college has got to start putting some rules on it. And here's what I would do for the transfer portal. I think you should get one freebie. You know, you take a tour of a school, you go someplace. How many times has any of us, you know, out there, you know, you take a job, you think it's going to be the right fit, and, you know, you get there and it wasn't what you thought it was, you know, or the situation changed. You know, for example, I took a head coaching job and you know, it was a total regime change within that first year. My principal left. My AP was leaving. My athletic director / head football coach left. And so there's all this new coming in, and it wasn't the right situation for me anymore. So it was time for me to go. I think you should be able to get that freebie as a college athlete. 100%. The other one I would say is if your coach leaves. I think it's pretty hypocritical that if a coach does leave, you as a college athlete can't try to go somewhere else, because a regime change, it might not be the right fit for you. It might be someone who recruited you that you just got the wrong vibe off of, and you're like, nah, I'm not playing with him, or that assistant coach or whoever it is. I think those should be the two scenarios. Now, if you happen to be at a college that you go here and then the coach leaves and then you transfer, then that coach leaves, you should be able to transfer again. But if the coach is staying, you should have to stay. And so, by the way, everyone joining, I thank y'all for joining the live. I'm recording for the podcast, so I'm not interacting. So I apologize for that. First time doing this, trying to learn how to balance both. So I appreciate y'all coming on. But the NIL side of it, the money side of this is, here's the first rule I would make when it comes to the money side of NIL is I think there's got to be some sort of cap. I think the big schools and the NCAA and the governing bodies of college football got to say, this is the cap, and it'll increase incrementally, you know, if you want it to, with, you know, kind of how the salary cap does in the NFL. That's the first step. The second step is, just blanked. It's first is the cap. Next, you got to have legitimate contracts, and you're going to have to start really signing these things with transfer rules and things like that. You got to sign them, and there's got to be held accountable. You've heard scenarios of, I think there's a quarterback in Colorado or something, not at Colorado, but in Colorado, that he transferred and they didn't pay him. Or they saying he didn't pay him and he's leaving. So you open yourself up to that without legal liability from the university and the individual signing the contract. And the next part of it is, the rule I would add is, if you're receiving NIL money over a certain threshold, you should not be eligible for a scholarship. You should have to pay for your education like anyone else. You are making more money, so you should not need financial help. And that, I think that's fair. I really do. You know, you might say this and that. Well, you can make money off your name, image, and likeness now. So go make your money, but you have to pay for your education. And that's going to come out of the NIL money that you're getting. Anything you make on your own in marketing and things of that nature, that's, you know, but you have to, no scholarships for NIL, you know, money makers. I don't think that's right, just because you had a little bit of talent. So, but I'm going to get to my favorite game of the year. Army, Navy. Go Navy, beat Army. For those who don't know, I am a Navy vet. Spent a cool decade in the Navy, so you know who I'm cheering for. But what an incredible game. Every year it's a great game. It's on my bucket list to go to it. I would love to go to the Army Navy game. The problem is during basketball season, I'm a basketball coach. So that's an issue as well. Man, to wait till I retire, or someone wants to start me paying me a lot of money to do this, so then I'll make the time to go. But man, Horvath, 2 passing touchdowns, which is rare for Navy. All right. Not a lot of yards. I think it's a little over 100. But then he had 204 rushing yards and 2 more rushing touchdowns. He just absolutely carved up Army's defense. It was crazy. I'm doing great. How are you? I just saw someone comment on it. It's kind of crazy balancing both recording here and there. First time. All right. So, Army, it's just so much fun to watch. It doesn't matter the records, the pageantry, the production, the tradition of the Army Navy game. And it's the only game, and I think that's the way it should be 100% on that Saturday. And I just wish I could go see it in person. Being a Navy vet, seeing all the midshipmen walk in full uniform, got, the covers on it. I mean, and then being able to see the West Point guys, I just think the cadets, it would be awesome. I really think. But congratulations to the Navy for serving it up the Army. Got bragging rights for 365 days, 64 days, whatever you want to word it. And super proud of the midshipmen for going in there and taking care of business. Hopefully Navy can do that on the basketball court this season as well. Oh, man. All right. All right, let's transition. NBA. Got some NBA talk. Ja Morant. Will Ja Morant ever grow up? Okay. I don't know if he will. I mean, I think he will, but ultimately he got that immature mindset. I just don't like how he acts. He had that little incident early in the week, and it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just old school. I'll give you an example, kind of my viewpoint on old school and winning with class and stuff like that. We were playing Tuesday at the school I coach at. We got whooped. All right, ain't no doubt about it. We didn't play well. The worst loss that I've been a part of in my coaching career. And they're up a significant amount. 30 would be a low amount that they were up on us. And the coach on the other side is high school guys, high school, this ain't college, this ain't pros. Still pressing up 30, 40, 50 points. And I was like, dude, really? Like, okay. I mean, my head coach said you can forgive them taking threes, even though when I've been up that big, I always tell my kids no threes. Like, we gonna get layups, and we're gonna keep playing basketball. We're not gonna pull it with 4 minutes left, anything like that. Man, you learn to win and act with class, and I don't know if Ja Morant is gonna get there unless he has a change of scenery or someone that has that mentality goes to the Grizzlies. The man is talented through the freaking roof. I mean, he is a franchise player. I just wish he would get a franchise mindset, if you know what I mean. So the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, Lillard, they win the NBA Cup. I'm going to be honest, I don't care about the NBA Cup. I don't. I know LeBron tried to make it all this thing last year. We're going to hang. They hung a banner in Staples Center. The NBA Cup, that doesn't mean squat to anybody's legacy. And they hung a banner next to championship banners. I got Magic Johnson right here, jersey, right here hanging in my office. He would be appalled. Like, come on, man. The NBA Cup, you going to hang a banner next to 20 plus NBA championships? Get out of here. And I know Giannis is trying to make it a big deal. Oh, we won no one cares that you won the NBA Cup. You want to know why? Because no one's watching the games. No one's watching the games, which leads me to my next thing. Why is the NBA so bad? Why is it that unwatchable? Like, why? And I really wish my co-host was here to get his take on this and flying solo tonight. But God bless, it's terrible basketball, number one. It is, they don't call it, like, when they started coming up with this gather step bull crap, okay, and you could take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. I mean, how many steps? Y'all seen James Harden play? If you're basketball, he takes like 6 steps to do a step back that when I was playing, shit was 2 steps. And if you pivoted, it was a travel. I'm not saying go back to that, but have a little common sense on the rules. And it's just like everyone's jacking threes from everywhere, shooting shit from the logo. And I don't blame Steph Curry for that. I know a lot of old heads will be like, oh, Steph ruined the game. Steph didn't ruin the game. He changed the game. He didn't ruin the game. But ultimately, it's just unwatchable. And I was watching this video, and it was by Kobe Bryant before he passed. And he was talking about today basketball players play accidental basketball. And that's really what you're watching. There's not a lot of rhyme and reason. It's isolation. It's accidental. It's a drive and hope a guy kick and hope a guy is open somewhere, filling up or filling down. There's no cutting. There's not a lot of ball movement. When you do have it, it's beautiful. And it's like, oh my God, that's real basketball. Like you go watch highlights of the Spurs in the 2000s and early 2010s, the Mavs at that time, beautiful basketball. The Detroit Pistons of the early 2000s when they had their run with Chauncey and Ben and Rashid and Prince and Rip, those guys, it was beautiful basketball. Seeing Rip Hamilton run off screens all game long. I mean, it to the average fan, it may not be like, oh, well, what's happening? It's beautiful basketball to watch. And you just don't have that anymore. You have a couple guys that are great players that make great plays, but Kobe in that video was talking like, I knew what you were going to do based on how you were lining up versus our offense. And, he really broke it down. It was great insight. And you don't see that anymore. You really don't. So why is it so unwatchable? It's just a bad product. The NBA is just a bad product right now. And I think I heard a current player, the name is escaping me, but he was like, I can't stand the new NBA All-Star format. Dude, you and your peers are the reason why that shit changed. Like, come on. Like, y'all don't go in there and take it serious. I'm showing my high school players like, hey, like go back and watch these NBA All-Star games. They're like, oh, damn, they're actually playing. I'm like, yes, players actually used to play and not just run up and down and shoot threes and just dunk after dunk. And they would at least play the last 3 to 5 minutes. But I mean, from game 1 to game 82 to All-Star weekend to the NBA Cup, it's not aesthetically pleasing anymore. It's really not. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. Hence by it's down 48% since like 2012. It's just a terrible product. It really is. Oh man. Carrying an hour-long show by yourself, it's a little rough. Like I said, it's probably not going to be an hour tonight, but y'all are just joining on here. Merry Christmas. Hope y'all are doing well. Appreciate y'all joining in. All right. So if you watch the show on YouTube, we skew towards the Dallas market. We always talk about the Cowboys. In the past weeks, we've had Jerry Jones, JJ on the show. That's fake JJ and fake J Kidd, Coach J Kidd. So when we have both hosts and those type of things, man, that stuff gets really entertaining. And, go back and check our stuff out on Time Sports Talk. But the Cowboys, they win again. And as a Cowboy fan, I got to say, are we screwing up our draft situation in April? Like they're winning some games. Do we really want to win these games? I mean, it's kind of at the point of the year where it's like, let's just get a better draft pick. It's an interesting dilemma. And that's the one thing about, I'll say, NFL players. For the most part, they don't quit. But unless your name is Campbell, they don't quit unless your name is Campbell. Oh, that boy Campbell in San Francisco. Holy crap. I know it was about the transition of the Cowboys, but that just reminded me of the 49ers situation. Holy shish kebabs, man. You left in the third quarter? Man, every word those 49er players said in that locker room, 100%. I would have Jimmy Johnson his ass and cut him before he left the locker room. That is the most piss poor example of a teammate I've ever seen in my life. And oh my God. You knew you were just a placeholder guy, right? You knew you were just holding Greenlaw's spot, right? You had to know that. You knew Dre Greenlaw is one of the best linebackers in the freaking league. and you get mad he replaced you? Come on, home. You signed in the offseason to know you're just holding the seat. You just keeping it warm. But you gonna get mad when they finally replace you. Man, Campbell, nah, you ain't got no hardiness to you. You ain't even Campbell soup. That was terrible. I don't know where I was going with that. Forget that statement. But holy shit, man. Like, I've never seen it. Like, I've seen some guys walk off the field early. I've seen some guys walk off the court at like a few seconds early, the Pistons and the Bulls situation back in the early 90s. But what he did, if a team's ever signs him again, I don't know what they're like. His career is over. It should be over. No one should ever sign that dude ever again. And he signed his death warrant when it comes to his football career. And I hope it lives to that because what he did to his teammates, and he pretty much just, gave them two middle fingers and said peace. Probably the worst teammate I've ever seen in my life. All right, back to the Cowboys. So someone who I wasn't really hot or excited about things Micah was saying at the beginning of the year, Micah Parsons. There are a couple things I'm excited that he's saying. Micah's saying he doesn't have to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, which is music to every Cowboys fan out there. He says it depends on who they're going for in free agency. And we all know that with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and that crew in free agency, hashtag all in, right? That was garbage. We know that ain't happening. They could restructure some contract. Like the Cowboys could literally have about $9 million in cap room if they do some restructuring this offseason. Will they do it? Probably not. You saw how they handled Dak. Sound like 6 hours before the game, essentially game one. But Micah not saying that he doesn't have to be the highest paid is a huge positive. I'm happy I'm starting to see what Micah is saying. I think he's starting to figure it out and be like, oh, maybe I should do more, say less, or say the right thing at least. But I will say this. Let's say the Cowboys win out. I don't think they're going to win out, but I thought the last game they were going to win on the year was last week. And so I think these next 3 weeks, they're probably going 0-3, which kind of gives away my picks for the rest of the year. But what are the options for the Cowboys if they let Mike McCarthy go? That's a big question. And I said earlier in the year, if you watch the show religiously, On Time Sports Talk on YouTube, my number one guy on my list is Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And the reason he's my number one guy, I think he's young. He's been there in Detroit. He's helped create culture there with Dan Campbell. And I think the Cowboys need a culture shift. And I think it's got to start with your head coach. And I know that really stems from ownership on down, but you got to start somewhere. And Ben Johnson is very inventive on the offensive side of the ball. I think he would be a great hire for the Cowboys. If the Dolphins let Mike McDaniel go, I think that would be a great hire for the Cowboys. I know he's kind of a goofy guy and, he looks kind of nerdy, but the man knows football and he made Tua into a pretty solid quarterback. I think he could enhance Dak and the offense as well. Who I don't like is Mike Vrabel. I think he's a good dude, but I think this team needs an offensive. Mike Vrabel, he's had success in Tennessee. Those last couple of years obviously weren't. That's why he's not there. But I don't think Vrabel's the right guy. Obviously, Belichick going to UNC, which no one saw coming, him going to college football, takes that thing. Him and Jerry are good friends, all that jazz. Ultimately, I think it's either you get Ben Johnson or Mike McDaniel if they fire him, or you stay with Mike McCarthy. And that's like, no, it's gross because you're going to have to give him a multi-year deal. And then if you don't do anything next year, you're going to fire him anyway. I think you don't have a lot of options if it's not a couple of those guys. Maybe there's some unsung guys that aren't really in the news, those type of things. But yeah, not a lot of options out there for the Cowboys, man. If they let Mike go, which I think they should. I think starting with the Green Bay game last year in the playoffs, that was the beginning of the end for Mike McCarthy. 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. That shit's awesome. That's great. Cool. Sweet. You're a winning football team, but then you get blasted in the playoffs. And I mean, that's been the story with our Cowboys since 1996, right? I was 10, 11 years old last time they won a Super Bowl. So yeah, it's been nothing but misery my entire adult life. Is their generation of Cowboy fans who've never seen that. They just see the old school grimy highlights of Emmett and Irvin and Aitman and those guys. But yeah, Mike McCarthy back in the head coach seat. I don't like that. But if you can't get Ben Johnson, if Mike McDaniel's not available, there's not a lot out there unless we don't see it. But I will say this. Do you think Jerry Jones regrets not firing McCarthy last year and not getting Sean Payton? Sean looking pretty good in Denver despite being in cap hell and all that stuff. So, yeah, Sean Payton's looking pretty good in Denver. I think he would have done pretty damn well here. All right, let's get to this week's picks. I am only going to pick 4 games. Me and my pops, we normally pick 6 games, but I'm only going to pick 4. So we always pick the NFC East games and then a couple wild cards. So Giants at Atlanta starting. Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins has looked awful for the Falcons. 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions the last 3 games, something like that. By the way, Kirk Cousins is he like the contract master at the quarterback position for an NFL career? He has swindled so many teams out of money. Like, how do you keep believing in this dude? I'm interested to see what Penix has. I love Robert Bijan in the backfield. I love the tight end there in Atlanta. I'm interested to see what Penix does. Now, with Penix, you're always worried about injuries as well. Like, that's the biggest knock on him. That's why I didn't think he was worthy of a first-round pick last year. So we'll see what happens with that. But I am picking Atlanta to beat the Giants because it's the Giants. Let's be real. It's the New York Football Giants. They're not. They're packing it in. I don't know. Are they starting DeVito or are they still going with Locke? I don't even know. But the Giants are a horrible team. Absolutely horrible. So if you ever picked them to win a game like my dad did 2 weeks ago, you crazy. You've been drinking. Probably the best game in the division is Eagles at Commanders at Washington. The Eagles are rolling right now. As painful as that is for me to say, Eagles are going to win. I think the Eagles are going to win. I think they're right now, after watching that Detroit performance, I think they're the best team in the NFC now. That changes week to week, but I think Philly is, figured it out, but no one likes Philly unless you're from Philly. No one likes Sirianni. Half the time, their fans don't even like Sirianni, their head coach. I thought they're about to fracture, but then they come out and have a good performance, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't be surprised if that does get severed in the offseason. Maybe T.O. to Dallas, A.J. Brown to Dallas. Maybe just I forgot when I was talking NBA because I just mentioned trades. You know what? I'll get back to that after I finish my picks. Bucks at Dallas. I'm going Buccaneers. Going Buccaneers. I love Dallas in my squad, but I don't think they're winning a game the rest of the year. Too many injuries. They had a great performance last week against Los Angeles Chargers. And I really think the Bucks are going to start playing at a very high level going into the playoffs, and they might make some unexpected noise on playoffs with Mayfield and Mike Evans and those boys. So Bucks over Dallas. And then my wild card game, the one I'm picking this week, I'm picking the 49ers to go across the country to Miami and win. I still have faith in Kyle Shanahan. I still think he's one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the league, if not the top coach. They're kind of an enigma as a team, but I just think they figure this out. Miami isn't. super amazing. And I'm kind of secretly cheering for that. So they fire Mike McDaniel and he comes to Dallas. Kind of a conflict of interest on that one. So, all right, let me get back to the trade thing I was going to talk about. A lot of trade rumors going on in the NBA. We're about to turn the new year over, January, February. Normally the trade deadline's around February, middle of February. Jimmy Butler to Dallas. I like it if it's the right price. If you got to give away any, Lively or Gafford, that's an instant no. Obviously, Clay, Kyrie, Luka are off that deal. You got to give up JJ Hardy. Probably okay with that. Not giving up PJ Washington. Interesting. I think PJ would go on the bench if they get Jimmy Butler. And he's been kind of the glue and catalyst of that team. So Jimmy coming back Texas to Dallas. I know we're on his list of teams to come to. I already think the Mavs are going to be back in the finals. Man, I don't know that nothing ever guarantees a ring, but Kyrie, Luka, Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Derek Lively was turned into a beast, Gafford, PJ Washington, and then, whoever you got left after that trade, maybe someone comes over with them, but man, that's a nasty 7 or 8 players. And wow, yeah, that would be tough to beat. I think Jimmy Butler would also have to realize he's not the alpha no more. That's Luka. It goes Luka, Kyrie, then it would be you. So you're the third guy. Then Clay has got to realize he'd be kind of the fourth guy. But it should be pretty interesting there. So, yeah, like I said, not making it to the full hour tonight. We're at right about 40 minutes. That's about where we're going to wrap it up. If you're joining the live, you've never seen me before. Normally I have a co-host with me. You wouldn't see him on the live anyway, but On Time Sports Talk, I am Casey, the remix schedule. I do the show with my dad, Eddie, the original schedule. Get it? Our last name is Schedule. On Time Sports Talk. See what we did there? See, you get it. Anyways, yeah, we'll have another episode next week, probably after Christmas. So until then, shout out to Camp Hope, which is one of my favorite organizations. They do a lot of good things for my fellow veterans trying to recover from trauma, PTSD, those things here locally in Houston and the Cypress area. An amazing organization. Shout out to Mission 22, which is another one of mine. And shout out to our next guest is going to be Jason Fry. He was actually our first guest. He's been big time in the basketball training world. He works big time with Nick Lavery now, if you know who that is. First full limb amputee to go back on active duty special forces. It's an incredible story. So if you check him out, he's going to be with us more than likely next week. Jason will, and he's going to talk about his new brand. His brand is called Do Hard Shit. It's pretty amazing message and pretty inspirational. So hopefully everything will be kosher for that next week. So like I said, appreciate everyone who joined on the live. Appreciate y'all on YouTube, watching this. And yeah, that's about all I got. Go Mavs, go Cowboys. Should be an interesting week in all the leagues. So peace, and I'm out.